Welcome, everyone, to episode 8 of the Mid-Geek Crisis. My name is Joe, and my partner in crime,
Pedro, cautious online.
Hope everyone had a good week. We've got a couple of interesting things to talk about. I'm going to start it off pretty quickly just because we want to kind of roll it. I think last episode we went about an hour and 20 minutes, give or take. So let's we'll keep this one a little.
Gotta bring it back. Bring it back
a little, even though I could talk all night. So. I think we're going to start today. Today is Monday, and it's the 3rd of December. And I want to say that today is the official launch date of the PlayStation Classic. So if you were looking to get one, please go look at some of the reviews. They are not looking good. And I want to talk a little bit about that to start this off. If you haven't heard, it is a little PlayStation. It looks like the original PlayStation. It's about this big. And it comes preloaded with 20 games. We talked about this last episode. The nice thing is it comes with 2 controllers, 20 games. I mean, it's a great deal. It's $99 off the shelf.
Oh, wow.
So it's a great value. I mean, essentially a lot of those games, if you try to buy them separately and try to find a PlayStation and to play them, you're going to spend way more than $100. So that's great. So the review units hit. And now I get that this could be or it should be labeled for the, maybe not the collector, but the everyday person that wants to just relive some of their childhood, playing the PlayStation 1 games again. The biggest downside or what I'm hearing from the reviews is this was lazy. This was a very lazy attempt by Sony to do this. The console comes with 20 games. So you plug it in, turn it on, and you get greeted with the wonderful sound, the original PlayStation sound, the white screen with the little orange diamond and the little chime. And that's very nostalgic. And then the menu system is very reminiscent of the menu system that the PlayStation had when you just put a regular music CD. So it's a blue screen with almost 80s, 90s color.
Oh, so like a CD player.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's retro. It's supposed to be that's pretty neat. I like that. What you get, though, is you get a menu, a kind of a carousel wheel with the 20 games, the box art of the 20 games.
Like any sort of retro game system, that's how it works.
Right. So here's we're going to talk about some of the things and I wish I had it. Mine is actually on, I didn't go pick it up today. I just didn't have enough time. I do have it on pre-order just for testing purposes. And but the dilemma here is if you're familiar with any of the other mini console systems. When you actually turn it on and plug it in and go in there, it comes with every game has its manual, its box art, and some history on the game. These games are very just like low quality box art that's put on there. One of the funny things that a reviewer caught is the copy of Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Oh, wow.
Is on there. Has the box art, and the box art actually has a little logo on it that says includes demo for Resident Evil 2, which not all of them had, but
Sure.
They chose this box art, and it has no Resident Evil 2 demo in this.
Of course it doesn't.
It doesn't. So it's like, did they just go online and do a search for the images and just grab them, put them together? Multiple other reviewers have gone through and taken a look at the games and compared it to actual hardware. And one of the lazy things about it, again, is Sony did not develop the software that runs their own software. They basically didn't. So it's an emulation. If you're not familiar with emulation, it's basically like a computer that acts like the original hardware to play the game. The emulator, the piece of software that's running the games, is an open source free emulator that belongs to someone else. Basically, a group made it many years ago, and it's not optimized. So they basically they are Sony, okay? They took someone else's code that someone reverse engineered from Sony
Slapped it in a box.
Slapped it in a box and threw games on it. The problem with this is this emulator doesn't run some games very well. So here's a system that has the horsepower. They've cracked it open and seen what it has, and the specs on it are more than capable of playing PlayStation games. But there's slowdowns. There's lots of slowdowns. A lot of games, one of the games, Ridge Racer 4 that's on there, it literally slows down. The menu system chops. The music goes out of sync.
Huh.
There's no way to patch this. There's no way to fix this.
Like a low-quality product.
Low-quality product. That's just one example. I mean, I'll link in the description a couple of other videos of people that have tested it, and the disappointment is bad. One of the
I don't want to say you predicted this, but you mentioned this last week when you were talking about this, that you kind of saw this coming, like the.
I get it. These companies want to release their old catalog, but still find a way to make money off of it, and it's fantastic. It's a great console to get someone that doesn't play a lot of video games, but that did.
No disrespect to Sony and PlayStation, but like, PlayStation isn't that old, right? Like, what is it? 20 years old? It's not. I mean, like, I'm not nostalgic for PlayStation games yet. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I might not be a good nerd, but like, I've got a lot of great games still on my PlayStation. I'm nostalgic for Nintendo games, for Atari games on systems that I don't see number 4 coming out, right? Like, I'm just not nostalgic for it. Like, a PlayStation old system had no appeal to me. But I was down with the Nintendo one, and I'd love to have picked one up, but I didn't get one, right? So, like, it's just one of those things where I don't know who's this for.
Of
20 crappy games, who's their audience?
So the list of games. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick, because I want you to see if you can remember a lot of these games. But it does come with some of the big ones. Should have had this in front of me. So the 20 preloaded games are. Let's see here. So we've got Battle Arena Toshinden.
Okay.
That was a launch title. Not a very good fighting game. They could have chosen something else, but whatever.
It's a launch title. I get it.
Cool Borders 2. So a really slow, really...
Was it skateboarders?
It's a snowboarding game. Destruction Derby.
All right.
Final Fantasy 7.
That might be worth $100.
And the only reason I'm like meh about it is if you've got it's been re-released on multiple, like if you've got a PC you can play it. It's on mobile. It's on PlayStation 3. It's on your PSP. It's on your Vita. So like there's multiple other systems it's been on.
What are you nostalgic for if you can play this?
That's exactly it. Grand Theft Auto 1. The first one.
That's the top-down, right?
That's the top-down one, but it's not even...
It might be educational for kids who don't know anything about it.
I think if you wanted to choose that style, I would have gone with 2. Grand Theft Auto 2 was a better game of that style if you want to go back to the top-down view.
Well, I mean, yeah, 2 was just more than 1. It was just better than 1.
Right.
They didn't know 1 was going to do great.
Intelligent Cube. It's a fun puzzle game. That one has actually been rediscovered. Like, people are going, oh, I never played this when it came out. And that's actually one of the ones that people like. Jumping Flash. So part 2 is a better game. It's a third person like platformer, but you're like in the view of like this jumping, like it's like a bug, I guess is what it is. And so
sounds like a nightmare.
You'd have to take a look at it. It's weird. You jump up, and then when you land, you look down, and the camera looks down, and you're kind of like within the eyes of this thing that jumps really high up and down. It's weird. It's interesting, but it's just not a game I would have chosen. Metal Gear Solid 1.
Classic.
Fun fact, this game has parts in the game where you're fighting a specific villain called Psycho Mantis.
Mm-hmm.
And Psycho Mantis... One of the things is that the villain reads your mind, and he actually breaks the fourth wall and talks to the player. And he basically tells you, I'm going to shake your controller, and he makes the controller vibrate. The problem is the controllers they shipped it with have no vibration.
So you're missing out on some of the fun. That's fine,
also, though. One of the other things that he would do is if you played other Konami games, he would read your memory card and say, "Oh, I see you're playing Symphony of the Night," and and actually,
oh, that's a real violation of my memory card.
Right. But that's something that he can't do because it's just not on the original system. So again, Mr. Driller.
I wonder what it says if you've never played any other Konami game.
It doesn't. It just doesn't say anything.
It doesn't say anything on it. Would have been a great time to like promote another game.
Right. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey.
Solid.
Rayman, the first one. Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Also solid PlayStation game.
Revelation, so Persona Part 1. Ridge Racer Type 4. So Ridge Racer 4. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
Fun game.
Siphon Filter.
Oh my God, that's a classic.
Yeah, right. But so here's where it gets weird. Tekken 3, which is fine. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six.
That's awesome. So like the old one where you had to like
no. See, the problem is that's a game that looked good and played well on PC. The PlayStation port is absolutely infamously terrible.
Is it okay?
Right. It's terrible. No, I mean again,
I don't remember.
Rainbow Six was fantastic, right? But
didn't you have like a map of where you had to break into on that one? Sort of like you had to plan out certain positions.
Right. I mean, it's
a real good tactical game. It's not like Siege today where you just
right. Twisted Metal 1 and Wild Arms.
All right, so they gave you Twisted Metal 1. I thought it was part 2, but yeah, Twisted Metal 1.
Yeah, so I was mistaken.
And Wild Arms 1?
1.
That's the Final Fantasy in the Wild West genre. That's it's not a bad lineup if it's a high quality system, but it doesn't sound like it's a.
It's not. So
it's like 5 games that I think will be worth $20 to play today.
Right. So here's the kicker: a lot of these games have been released as PlayStation Classics on a PlayStation 3, so you can just download them.
Yeah.
I guess this was an opportunity to really go through the enormous catalog of Sony. Enormous. I mean, the PlayStation 1 had a huge catalog. Go back and really find those hidden gems that have not been released in other methods.
We're leading up on the holiday and we've got no big news.
Right. So here's one more piece that broke like literally an hour before I'm filming this. People are already kind of tearing into it, trying to figure out what's going on. There's no extra menu settings. The games run slower than they should. I already mentioned that 9 out of these 20 are the European version. So a game like Tekken 3 is slower than slow because it's running at 50 frames as opposed to the original 60.
Right,
I mean, all sorts of like things that aren't good. Someone plugged in a keyboard into the USB port and hit the escape key, and it brought up the emulator menu.
Oh my God. That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with that.
Oh, it's ridiculous. But I mean, it's like that shows how lazy. They took an off-the-shelf product that they didn't write, slapped it on a box, threw their name on it, put a bunch of games on it, and didn't bother locking it down in any way. They made it so that, I mean, you plug a keyboard into it and hit the escape key, and it brings you to the menu where the menu literally says load CD-ROM, load, like all of these menus.
Yeah.
You can break the system.
Yeah, that's great.
You could basically save settings to the system so that it makes it so that it won't boot up again.
That's awesome. I mean, like you have to do that on purpose. No one's going to do that by accident.
Right? But I mean, they didn't choose a proprietary port. They chose a USB port, and everyone has a USB keyboard. So all it's going to take is some kid to go in there and mess it up, and all of a sudden you're
a $99 system that they probably didn't play much anyway. They're like, "Oh, Dad, I know about Wild Arms. Can you just stop already?" Like, just come on. I don't need this dad core nonsense. Get out of my face with this.
Right. So again, this is going to be one of those. Whoa, hello. Something shook. Okay,
there you go.
This is going to be one of those scenarios where it's gonna sit on the shelf, and then Sony's gonna go, see, no one really wanted these systems. When in reality, people did want these systems. They just wanted a little effort.
Yeah, and Sony didn't want to spend any money. They were looking for a quick play. Sounds like
a quick buck. I mean, this is off the shelf hardware. They took a CPU that exists on other systems, on other small boxes. They slapped 16 gigs of memory for storage, a couple USB ports. They took a shell of a system that they already had and just shrunk it down, threw 2 USB controllers into it, and slapped 20 games that they probably had all the license to that they were able to get pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They didn't fight for anything. They didn't say, "Oh, here's Final Fantasy IX, a game that really isn't played much, but hey, you should kind of play it again because it's one of the least popular."
Revisit one of our classics.
You know, here's a couple of other games. Here's Driver, the first Driver. You know, someone would really like.
Don't they already do that with their PlayStation Classics games?
But they. So here's another part of that is the PlayStation 3 had the downloadables. The PlayStation 4, they've decided not to have downloadable. They've turned that off. Right. There's no way to download your classics that you've purchased already and play them on your PlayStation 4.
So you got to keep your PlayStation 3 around?
Right.
Gotcha. It's a pain in the butt.
Right. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, again, I'll follow along on the story. See, I'm pretty sure.
I want to see you put up some actual play videos, man. If you have the system, give it a try.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'm interested to see what the people are going to do. They're going to break into that thing and they're going to add all the games that they wanted.
Yeah, I know. There's going to be a juiced up software you can just download and put in through your USB, and they'll show you how to do it. That's basically they're selling a $99 box for people to play with.
Right. You're right. So that's kind of the main reason I'm interested in it, because I'm going to see them kind of tear it apart and get it running all these games.
We could build it better. Right?
We can build it better, right? Sony.
Way to go, Sony.
All right. So next piece of news real quick. And we touched on this a couple weeks ago with the cancellation of Luke Cage and the cancellation.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So Daredevil got canceled.
Daredevil got canceled. So I think that now leaves Jessica Jones kind of in limbo.
Which has its third season. I mean, I know they signed for it, and I believe they started filming for it, right? I mean,
I'm interested in seeing if they're going to cancel it right after. I mean, I don't know where they're going with this. Why even bother at this point?
Well, I mean, if they filmed it and paid for it, they're going to show it, right? And I'd love to see a third season of Jessica Jones. We talked about this.
Yeah, I liked it too. I'm confused. There's no the payoff here is not. It's not as exciting anymore. Like when you first watched the first Jessica Jones season, it followed up to the first season of Daredevil, so you knew it was part of a bigger universe. But now that you know that you've canceled all the rest of them, like
I don't know that I'm even going to go back and finish the season 2s of Luke Cage or Iron Fist, or even start season 3 of. I haven't. I think Punisher got 2 seasons too. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Right. So Punisher, I forgot. Punisher got 1 season, and they said they were making a second season, but now I guess they're not. This leads me to believe, and again, the rumors are out there. If you're following any of the geek news, Disney is on their way to create their own streaming service. They're competing. They're gonna go head on with Hulu and Netflix and everyone else, and make their own streaming service. And so everyone is just seeing the writing on the wall that Disney is going to slowly start pulling all of their content from other streaming services and dump it onto everyone else. But these were Netflix originals.
From a content standpoint, I don't think we're ever going to get those shows again. So let's all say goodbye. This is Firefly cancellation nerds. Like, prepare yourselves for never seeing that universe, that Daredevil and Jessica Jones. We might see Jessica Jones again. We might see Daredevil again on Disney Channel, but they're going to be, I think they're going to be MCU compliant. They're going to be full on, perfectly plugged into what's going on in the movies, plugged into what's going on in their comic books. They're never going to be original.
I think those characters have been canned.
They're done.
They're going to put them away for the next 20 years, 10 years, maybe. It's too soon. It's too soon. They can't bring.
We reboot Spider-Man every 3 days, dude. There's no way it's too soon. Come on.
That's Sony. That's Sony that likes to do that because they want to make sure.
I just mean in the comic book universe, you reboot characters all the time. They'll reboot them if there's enough outcry for them and desire.
Daredevil was. I'm just going to take the character of Daredevil. Daredevil was the series. The series and the character was so well done that all you're doing is now competing against yourself through the shadow of that old character. They're gonna, if they recast him, they're gonna be like, well, he's not as good as the last one.
Oh yeah.
If they don't
still
touch
better
upon
than Ben Affleck though, so we're gonna be okay there, right?
Yes.
We did compare it. So I again.
But Ben Affleck was 2004 was Ben Affleck, and this was what 2016, 2015 was Daredevil season 1.
14 years later.
Yeah, I mean, 14 years later is a good chunk of time between one or the other.
It took the entire revitalization of the movies to even allow us to go back to
we have
revisit.
to remember
That's how bad Ben Affleck was. That it took a decade of rebuilding comic books popularity.
What a weird, like, that casting wasn't bad. Like, he didn't look bad in the costume, but wait, let me tell you, I don't even blame completely Ben Affleck. Have you ever watched that movie with the director's commentary on?
No.
The director, what is it, Anderson? No.
I couldn't even get through it the first time. I can't imagine.
Anywho, look, if you ever want to just have one of those days where you just want to, like, watch a bad movie or see, like, what wasn't going on in their mind, watch that movie. Watch the director's cut, which, if you've never seen the director's cut of that movie, there's a whole story arc that was pulled from that movie with Coolio. Coolio is some sort of criminal that's being framed, and Matt Murdock gets him off. Like,
right.
So there's a scene of him, like, being a lawyer in that movie, but they cut that entire story arc out. There is a scene, I don't know if you remember in the movie, where Daredevil is fighting in like a subway. It's like his first big appearance, and then the cops show up and they're like, "What happened here?" And they're like investigating the crime scene, and then the cop kind of like looks on the ground and like touches the ground and smells it, and then he grabs a lighter and lights it, and it makes the Daredevil logo in fire on the ground.
I do remember that.
Okay, so the reason that even exists was, I kid you not, if you listen to the director goes, "Yeah, I really like The Crow, so I wanted to do that myself, so I did it too." That is the reason.
I like The Crow
he
too.
Literally said, "I lifted that from another movie. I really liked the movie The Crow,
and I wanted to see that.
I wanted to see that in my movie, so I made them draw the Daredevil in flammable liquid and light it on fire because it looked really cool."
Oh, God. So again, I think we all have to say goodbye to the defenders of Netflix era and be ready to say hello.
I'm still angry with that.
Yeah, to say the defenders of the Disney era. So
yeah,
I look forward to our Disney overlords. It's going to be a great channel. I mean, I'm going to have to cancel one of my other channels, but Disney's going to be ridiculously good. So
yeah, I mean, yeah,
we're all going to buy it. Like, we're all going to hate it, but we're all going to slap money on the table to get access to all of the Star Wars library, all of the Marvel library, all of the Disney libraries. I mean, it's too much to say no to. I mean, you probably have it on DVD, but I don't. So.
But look, it's not even about the back catalog. The back catalog is fantastic. Like, okay, you give me all of the Disney princesses or the Disney classic movies on there, good to go. That's awesome. I own like 90% of them on Blu-ray, so it's not like I'm not gonna pop them in. It's not that I don't have them. It's not that people don't have them. What we're all interested in is the fact that Disney will now have a direct channel. Not that Disney hasn't had a channel before. It's been on cable. But this time, this is a specific channel created for the Netflix era. And they have
binge channel. They're going to put out binge shows. They're going to...
Yeah, so that's it. It's their original content that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be ridiculous. And it's going to be original content in Star Wars, original content in the Disney universes. I mean, it's going to be crazy. I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts, the TV show on Disney. It's going to be amazing. Part three. That'll be right there on Disney.
And it'll come out in 20 years.
20 years.
All right. So next.
So goodbye, Daredevil. We enjoyed you.
Daredevil. I'm very bitter about this whole scenario. Man,
we can't move on.
It makes no sense to me.
Speaking of bitter, you want to talk about some canvas bags? You want to talk about some bags? Speaking of bitter, you didn't get the collector's super.
I did not. I didn't even buy the game, and I bought the PlayStation Classic, but I did not buy.
That's what I'm saying. That you figured out what money you wanted to spend, and you're more of a classic gamer than a Fallout 76 gamer.
Right. So
for folks who don't know, we've got this collector's edition of Fallout 76. A big game, a big MMO. We've talked about it a few times. It's not performing as well as can be hoped. And the collector's edition, folks noticed that they were supposed to get a canvas bag. It's like a beautiful Fallout universe, Ventec or whatever, canvas bag. And their bags were definitively not canvas. They were just a very cheap nylon, almost trash bag looking texture. Mm-hmm. So there was the usual internet uproar. A lot of angry screeds and Twitter feeds.
So let's back up 1 second here. First off, the $200 edition of the game or of this
But
game.
it comes with a sweet helmet.
Well, right.
Not $200 for
big hunk of plastic, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
So
cool.
I'm going to look at your office for a second.
I know. Cool. 200 bucks of plastic. Trust me, I've spent a lot of money on big hunks of plastic. First off, they did not. Let's go back for a split second here. They did not have them available day one. So the individuals that bought this $200 game, they were like, yeah, we're going to get it. And they didn't have them ready day one of launch. So they got delayed. So let's start off there. They had to wait for a game that once they were waiting for the game, they were like, oh my God, I'm going to get my sweet collector's edition.
3 times more for.
Paid 3 times more for. They were super excited. They were just like, I'm going to get this awesome game, my collector's edition. It's going to be awesome. Day one, they had to listen to all of the reviews, just pan their $200 decision.
Of course.
Then, a week later, they still haven't gotten their $200 product. The game drops to $35 for Black Friday. So now, here's a game that they spend $200. They can get it for $35 without their sweet stuff. But, you know, they're collectors. They want the sweet stuff. They still can't get the game. They want to play it. So then Bethesda is issuing out codes for the game. They're like, you know what? You guys have waited. We're going to give you a digital copy of the game so that you can start playing now so you don't have to wait. In the meantime, we'll still get your $200 copy. Then the $200 copy is finally released 2 weeks after the game. And as soon as they start getting them, that's when we get these bags.
Shitty bags.
Now, again, this goes even deeper because the complaint started. And so the timeline of this particular scenario was, it's bad. So they responded with, "We're sorry. We understand and respect that there is disappointment with the bag in the Power Armor Edition. We are sorry. Please contact Bethesda support to provide proof of your collector's edition purchase. Sure. They will assist in granting you in your account 500 atoms."
Yes, which is like $4, $5. I don't even know what the cost is.
It's $5. They, for their $200 effort, after waiting for the game, they offer them $5 worth of in-game currency. They cannot buy anything.
And a worthless physical copy of the game as well.
Right, because the one on the disc is...
And the helmet you can't actually fit over your head, right? That's, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I feel sorry for them. I do. I mean, like, you drop to you show your support for this game, you put out money for the collector's edition, and you get garbage products. But, like, when are we going to learn? When are we as a community going to learn that these things aren't really... They're ephemeral. You're buying into the moment, I think, and you just have to either accept the fact that these items are not of value, or you got to stop buying them. I'm sorry,
man.
We got to learn. The only way the companies are just going to keep doing it as long as we keep throwing money at them, right? We just got to learn not to order day one, not to pre-order anymore.
We are the nostalgia is weak.
What are they? I mean, the weird thing is, like, the real, like, rage around this bag. I'm just like, dude, it's a bag, and it's like a bowling bag. It's not even a good shape. Like, what do you put your sneakers?
It's the helmet.
The helmet is the helmet, but, like, are you carrying that helmet around all day? Like, where is that bag in a year?
So look, okay. I was reading other individuals talking about other collector's editions that have come with certain things. Like, for example, Grand Theft Auto 5. There's one edition of the game that came with a money box. Like a metal money box.
And it came with like 1 trillion points too, right? They got
and they were saying, I love this box. I use it. I have stuff in it that I store. Yeah, They're not carrying it around. I get it. Some individuals buy stuff, put it on the shelf. Some individuals buy stuff and actually use it. There was other, I can't find the specific comment on here, but they talk about how, hey, this particular game gave me this bag, or this gym bag, and I've been using it for the past 3 years as my actual gym bag. So, I mean, again, some people, and they see it. No, but The bag is a bonus. It is always a.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
it's a bonus, right? But like here, $80 game. Let's say $40 helmet, right? That's still $80 game when it start, right? It was $79 or $69, whatever. $89
well,
game.
59, and then the whatever edition with like maybe extra like DLC or whatever
Which
might
I'm
be.
sure they got in the collectors, right?
I
They
guess so. I don't even know.
$80, $40 helmet, $120, $80 left over for the map. I think I had like maps and miniatures, and a bag, right? Like if I saw each of those individual items for sale, I would not pick up any of them. I might pick up the game, right? I just feel like people bought into that. You buy into the experience. That's what they're paying for, of having the collector's edition, hanging out with other collectors. And sadly, Bethesda let them down. But let's be honest, Bethesda let everybody down with Fallout 76. So this is just one more bucket in this, right?
So the 500 atoms that they give you in the game.
The what? I'm sorry?
The 500 atoms that they give you in the game. Someone put, here's a picture. Ironically, 500 atoms won't even buy you a Fallout 76 Postman skin that actually has a canvas bag.
I saw that tweet. Who's that tweet from? You got to give him credit.
It is Chris Livingston. It's at Screen Cuisine.
There you go.
At Screen Cuisine. But yes,
it's that picture of the guy with the bag.
A picture with it's a mailman with a canvas bag, and it's 700 atoms to buy that skin. So you still need 200 more atoms points to even buy the fake bag.
To have a fake bag in game. You don't even have the real one.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like, the nylon bag is probably just big enough to carry everyone's tears, right, over this game.
No, it probably leaks.
I have compassion. Listen, everybody who bought the collector's edition who are upset. I feel you, man. I've been burned on collector's editions before.
So let's talk about that. What's the last collector's edition of a game that you bought?
Mass Effect 3.
Did it come with
I didn't even buy the super one. I bought the one right below it.
Okay.
They had like a super one, and I bought.
Have you ever bought a super edition of something?
No.
Like, no, you've never spent more than $100 on a specific game, other than like board games, because I know you in board games.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm spending money on, it's board games, right? So I think I bought Rolls Royces of board game stuff, right? But I've never bought I've never gotten into the video game one.
So board games are interesting, and it's a different concept because board games are tangible items.
Yeah.
They are tangible items, and if you've ever kickstarted any edition of the game, I personally have kickstarted a couple of editions of the games, $150+ versions of games that come with all sorts of extras because they have all of these Kickstarter the rewards. What are they called? The once they hit
rewards, the stretch goals.
The stretch goals. There we go. And that gives you. I mean, it pays itself.
Buy into the experience.
Buy into the experience, and they get to have the funding to do all these extra stuff and etc. That's fine. But here again, yet again, it's a AAA title that they more than have money to spend on this game. They have the finances to invest on this. Yep. They get these people. They announce these copies of this game with these ginormous collector's edition, but they really don't give you the $100 worth of experience. Like if this is a $200 game,
I don't know
and
why
the game is $60.
Yeah.
That's $140 bumped up from a base copy of the game. What there is $140? If they can't even if they skimped that bad on the bag, that goes to show that they just really just took your money and ran.
Yeah, or they waited too long to order canvas. They were already 2 weeks behind. Like there could be other issues, right? They could be terrible at putting together.
It's not like they didn't know Fallout was coming out. These guys they've been working on this. Look, you and I both know, and we're going to talk about this at length on multiple topics for many games and many years to come. This Fallout 76? Let's stop kidding ourselves. This is not a new game. This is Fallout 4's multiplayer section.
Sure.
Reskinned. That's all it is. It is Fallout 4. They made the base game, and then they were like, hey, let's add multiplayer to it, and they couldn't get it done. So what they did is they took it off. They said, we're going to make this a whole new game, and they just released Fallout 4 as a single-player game. Everyone looked at Fallout 4 and went, this would be really cool with maybe some co-op, maybe some sort of thing. And you know what? They went, you know what? Let's do that, but let's leave it in the oven for another year. Let's make it an actual online engine and get it going. But so they made an online engine, but they forgot to add a game to it. Yeah. There's no game, no NPCs, no real quests.
What did I say? I saw someone say it's got a story but no plot.
Right.
It's got all this literature and deep world stuff, but you really got to make your own plot. So folks are diving into it like Lost style, trying to make their own stories. It's disappointing. I hope it turns around. I know they've dropped 2 giant patches, and there's another one on the way. So they're really working hard to make something of it. They'll get there, I think. I might be too late. Speaking of online economies, online moments that had seemed to have created scandal.
So Red Dead Redemption is out. It's online. It's up and running.
It's beta. Yep.
It's beta, but you know what? I've got lots of friends that are enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah, good for them. Are they grinding for the horse, the $400 horse?
That is something that they need to work on. So if you didn't read, a couple days after the online experience started, we got a couple of articles and stories stating that the economy is already broken.
Mm-hmm.
The economy is already broken. They are saying that, here's an example. A horse will take you about 200 plus hours to grind enough gold bars
Mm-hmm.
by a horse. So it's 8 hours of grinding in the game to make 1 bar. So
That's just straight grinding. That's just doing jobs and not enjoying yourself. Just grinding.
100 nuggets per bar, 8 bars, about an hour is what it takes you. I mean,
you can buy bars, right? They're going to open that up later to buy bars.
Yeah. So here's what, the upside to this whole story is they're saying that this economy will be wiped completely after the beta. Let's hope that happens. But I have heard multiple stories from individuals that play Grand Theft Auto 5 that refuse to play the game. The economy in that game is completely broken.
Grand Theft Auto 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's completely broken. So it makes it so that if you exploited early or did things early where they gave you lots of money, you stayed rich and you became kind of the 1% in the game.
Yeah, it became sort of a real metaphor for the way the world is right now, where if you started early, had a good name, and you bought the nice cars, and then your money just compounded and you were rich forever. And new players or bad players, which I am among, just never caught up. We're just getting hit with fighter planes that folks would just throw at you. Gold-plated ones. They didn't care. They had so much money.
Yeah. DeLoreans.
And also, it's already a toxic community. So, listen, if you like GTA 5 Online, more power to you. I think a lot of the competitions they had on there were a lot of fun, but the actual, wandering around the world and trying to make a living thing was garbage. Or garbagely unfun for me. I'd like to play on a small server where we're all having our own thing going. But the main thing. And I Red Dead Redemption Online was going to go that way as well. I knew it. I think Rockstar has a lot of trouble with the economy in general. I mean, even their single player games, you've got trillions of dollars halfway through the story, right? Like money is never a problem in these games. Red Dead Redemption was the same way. So I don't know. I maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they won't. Maybe if you get in, or maybe we should join it early so we could be the 1% in the old Wild West. That's what we should do.
Yeah, it's man.
And you pay to win, right? That's the interesting part, right? So if you could buy those gold bars, you could buy the fastest horse. It's literally your cash converts into better gear as opposed to cosmetic stuff.
So a story from today is Rockstar says it will rebalance the Red Dead online economy. I mean, again, I'm trying to figure out. I read a good story.
They should take a small portion of those hundreds of $1 million from their launch weekend, the biggest launch of all time for any entertainment industry, right? And just hire an economist to set up an actual economy in their games. What they should do, or study other games that have pretty decent economies. It wouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
The trick really is one of the hard things about these virtual economies is that you put money in with the games and people spend time. You can't take the money out, right? So you got to figure out a way to get these gold sinks and money sinks in there. And I think they have them with camps. They just have to figure out how to balance that with the actual price of items. They've got a few sinks, which is good. You need sinks to take money out. So I'd be intrigued in how that goes.
So again, and here's just examples of it.
Sure.
It says you can buy horse insurance in the game, and which is pretty cheap, and it's apparently essential to buy. But then it says insurance for another horse will cost you multiple gold bars, and that depends on the quality of said horse. An example here: upgrading a rifle costs nearly twice the number of gold bars. So here it says that a revolver in the game
A symbol of the Wild West.
12 gold bars.
So 12 bars. But there's no like dollar equivalents to this yet, right? It's just time.
Well, I mean, they're supposed to be like real dollar equivalents. Like
Sure. I just don't. They can't do transactions on this, right? They can't buy these bars yet. So we don't know what Rockstar might charge for one gold bar, right? It might be 99 cents. It could be 10 bars for 99 cents. We don't know. But they'll figure it out. I'd rather they have started really high on everything rather than start too low and the economy gets ruined by everyone buying everything really fast and then they have to raise the price and new players get boned.
So there's a Reddit thread called and I'm going to link this. I'm going to save this link here. Mm-hmm. It's called Wrong Gold Bar Math. And here's an update, and I'm just going to read a couple of parts of it. It says,
sure.
After farming Deathmatch for 2 hours straight, I got 5,257 experience, or 0.32 gold bars, which equivalents to $68.
Oh, wow.
Some posts with 1.4K upvotes said that you need to play around 50 hours to get a single gold bar. This is tremendously wrong. I think the OP thought that he was rewarded with 0.4 nuggets instead of gold bars. So 4 nuggets. I repeat, this is wrong. I played 4 hours yesterday. You need to get 100 nuggets to do 1 gold bar. You get it in between 0.02 to 0.04 gold bars, which equals about 2 nuggets, which takes about 10 minutes or so.
So wait, it takes 10 minutes to get a nugget?
Give or take. So within an hour or so, you can get so 8 hours or so.
Gives you a bar.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of freaking time.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of grinding. I don't know. I mean,
so that means 8 hours to get 1 bar, and you need 8 bars to buy a revolver. That's
yeah.
I'd rather play Civilization. I mean, if I'm going to grind a game for 64 hours, it's going to be Civilization.
Right.
That's So they'll fix that. I think they started high conservatively, and then they figured out from there. Because I remember Rockstar being really low, so it was really easy to buy the great stuff beginning. If you grind it out for a little bit, and then everyone sort of struggled once they had to balance the economy. So we'll I don't know.
We'll follow up on this. I'm sure. Look,
I don't own it yet, so I can't. I have to get it before I can start really digging and complaining. I'm sorry to all our viewers and listeners. We talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot, and we don't actually. Neither one of us have. Well, Joe owns it, but I don't know that Joe's even played it yet.
I have.
Oh, okay. All right. So he's played
We'll talk about that another day, just because it take up the whole time me playing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, here you go.
So speaking of broken economy.
Oh, broken economies.
Broken economy because everything's broken. Everything's broken. And one of the big things is loot boxes.
It's the worst timeline.
It's the worst timeline, I swear. So again, there's another.
I don't know if anyone saw, right? I think on the 29th or a couple of days ago, maybe 5 or 6 days ago, the FTC agreed to investigate. So it's not like they're making a ruling. It's not like new laws are passing or they're banning something. It's more like, hey, we agree that we're going to look at this, right? So they don't even have a plan how they're going to look at it yet. But it's a big deal, right? So typically when the government starts getting involved is when industries start to realize they need to figure out how to fix this before the government.
They need to regulate themselves.
They need to regulate themselves before the government gets involved. And everyone who listens to this knows about loot boxes. A big deal, I think. I hate them. A lot of other folks hate them. They're they're gross. There's something about them that makes me feel gross in the purchasing and interacting with them. And it's because it's gambling, man. It triggers the same lizard part of your brain as gambling, and I think folks are starting to come to this realization with games that are just making money making monies like casinos without doing much, right? That's what it comes down to, and it's also not being regulated as a gambling thing. So they're giving it to kids.
They're giving it to kids. So here's the interesting part about that is right now. There aren't many games out there that have loot boxes in them anymore. There are still
as their core mechanic, yeah.
As their core mechanic. Overwatch still has them, and that's a big one. Another one that has them is Fortnite, but only the Save the World section has the loot box scenario, which is the llamas.
Right.
You get rewarded with the llama rewards. You break the llama, you get stuff out of them. The big popular version of the game, and I say that because Save the World definitely gets the
has moved to the new model. Yeah, Battle Royale has moved to the new model where you just buy passes every season.
So right. So and I think that's more transparent.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it. Inherently, it's wrong to constantly milk these kids for their, but at the same time, it's a way for them to pay for this free game. You know,
it's
these
a subscription service. Yeah,
right. So,
makes sense.
Playing the game does give you V-Bucks in some way, in a small amount, or you can purchase the V-Bucks, and then you can buy the skins that they release on a daily basis.
Yep.
And they tell you what that skin is. They tell you what that new dance is. They
it's a direct buy. It's not buying a random box of what the skin might be.
Overwatch gives you currency as well. There is a currency in the game, the Overwatch, the coin system, and you could purchase skins. So you could go into the gallery, pull up the skin, and buy them. The problem is they cost way more in time than it is to just try to get, you know, the gamble, the loot box.
Yep.
And so you could purchase loot boxes. I don't play Overwatch as much as I used to, but again, I've mentioned this before. My motto of playing some of these like games that are either free or have given me lots of content is
you'll throw a little bit more money.
I'll throw them a little bit of money. So once every maybe event. So with Overwatch, every event. So like the summer games, the Halloween event, the winter event, all of those, they always have an event going on. And during those events, they always have a new set of skins or a new set of like things. And I guess my frustration was there's a lot of awesome skins for certain characters that I really like.
Yeah.
I'm a big player of Reinhardt. If you know me in any way, shape, or form, I like playing healers. I like playing as the big like protectors, the shield
support
guys.
Class, yeah.
Support class. I'm a big support class player, and Reinhardt is one of my mains. And what's funny is it's almost like the game knows that I play multiple hours with that character, and so it never gives me. He's actually one of the characters with the lowest amount of like skins that I have on him. But boy, do I have skins for characters that I don't even play. And it's because that loot box mechanic. So I dump. So the way it works is you can get loot boxes rewarded as you level up in the game.
You play games, yep.
Or you throw money at it. And I do. Like I said, once every event, I throw, I think it's like $29 or $39 at it, $40. It's like buying a new copy of the game or buying part of the game. And they get $40 out of me, and they give me like 40 loot boxes or whatever. So I sit there and open them. I'll leave,
get that dopamine rush.
Get that dopamine rush. You're like, if you've ever opened one, there's a very like satisfying click on the box, and then it shoots up into the air, and then you get the da-da, and it tells you what you get. And it's fantastic. It's a great feeling. You're like, ooh, but I know it's all it's not but it's a slot machine that isn't really mechanical, right? Like there's no gears. It's RNG is what they call it, right? Like it's a random number generator.
And you get a little dopamine rush when you get something cool out of it, like you weren't expecting. It's attacking your lizard brain directly, and the game designers know it.
So I haven't thrown them money in multiple events lately, and that's because A, I have not played it as much, but B, I'm not getting the skins I want. And I think they need to move to the Fortnite model. Just put the skins out there with a price, maybe once a day, like release, hey, for today, the skin for this character and this character are up.
You'd log in and play with it.
I'd log in, play with it, buy it immediately, kind of like Fortnite has it, and then the skin goes away in 24 hours. And then at that point, I'm like, oh, I missed out. Okay, but maybe it'll come back before the end of the event.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on is these skins, a popular skin will hit. Everyone talks about it. You don't have the money for it, but during the event, the season, that skin will come back.
Yep. And that's Fortnite's model, right? That's not
Fortnite. So I
think Fortnite is both a source of vexation for the industry, and I think will cure some of the ills. I mean, that's something that you want to go back and figure out. I mean, it's telling to me that Blizzard, since we're talking about Overwatch, they got rid of the boxes in Belgium where they knew they were going to be sued over it, right? So, like, they know. They're not fighting. EA is, but EA's
okay.
Evil, right?
So did you read? So how do people in Belgium unlock the skins?
I was trying to find that article before we were recording this, and I couldn't dig into it. I couldn't figure out how do they get those skins, but they all got pulled in the last couple of months. So there was like a June 20th deadline, and they got pulled off the thing. So I was trying to dig in. I have a couple articles open. I'll see if I can post it. But
if any of our listeners knows what happened, please post. I want to hear.
You're in Belgium. Let us know how you get those sweet, sweet skins.
Right.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you just are locked out from that content. But
Yeah.
wouldn't it be great if our friends in Belgium can literally just go in and buy the skin they want and they get to play with it?
Well, or what if they instead of giving loot boxes?
Oh wait, no, you can earn loot boxes through play, right?
Right. But
So maybe.
But does that mean that you can't buy them, but you still get them? But that's still triggering. Like,
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it. All they did. So Belgium didn't. Belgium didn't ban loot boxes, right? So what they just said was that if your game has a loot box, you are now going to be regulated under the gambling rules we have in play.
Right.
So it's not. They already have. They didn't create new laws. They just said, "Hey, you got a loot box? That's gambling. Go to our gambling official, and they'll figure out whether or not your game violates our laws." So I think this is the first step in a lot of these game developers to say, "Hey, you know what? We're just going to take it out for now because we're not casinos. We don't understand gambling laws, and except for EA, which EA's evil." And they're fighting it. So I think we'll see what happens to EA as they go to court with this thing and see how far they can take it with the judges. Also, they lost that fight in Star Wars Battlefront, so I think I find it weird that they're doing this fight instead of just moving to the Fortnite model or moving to a subscription model. They have a subscription to their service, right? EA, but not within each game.
No, not with that game. It's so I haven't ever looked it up anymore. But EA kind of started the Game Pass model. They had their EA like Game Pass kind of scenario on Xbox, so you could join their EA like club or member or whatever. So through Microsoft, you'd pay a service. You then were part of the EA group, and then any of their EA games was get early access, or you had a library of EA games.
I say that every so often. I'm like, no thanks.
Which is silly because EA has what, Need for Speed and FIFA.
I mean,
it's Madden, FIFA, NBA Live, Need for Speed, and Battlefield.
But they distribute a shit ton of other games, right? I mean, Mass Effect is under their umbrella. A lot of games are under their umbrella.
I guess it is under their umbrella. They did purchase. No, is it? Yeah, it is. EA.
I remember the EA Pass. It was available under the EA Pass at a discount. So I might be remembering wrong, but some of the big box games are there for sure. And before they killed the studio.
I do feel like
EA. BioWare was EA. They killed that studio.
Yeah.
I remember the memes now. I'm like, there's a lot of studios buried in that ditch. Right?
Yeah, EA was all about buying the studio, and then they die. They go away.
But I don't know. I think I think it's important that our government or our own industry looks into this, right? Because there's something icky about loot boxes. Personally, I think a lot of the way we package gambling for our children is wrong, right? If we want to talk about family stuff, I don't like all those Shopkins, all those little surprise eggs, all those little collector things. The kid just gets the rush of opening it. Oh, look, it's a tiny little doll on a skateboard. Who the hell cares? But they just immediately want to open another one, right? Because they've got that rush. And those are
the mystery bags.
All those mystery bags, all those that are directly targeted to kids when they're clearly gambling tools, and they tap into a gambling portion of our brain. I know I suffer from it as well. I think the IDGA, the Independent Developers Game Association, they know, and what did they say? They said when a player makes a real money purchase of an unknown item, a loot box, we run the risk of triggering gambling laws. They know this internally. And then they compared it to collectible card games. And I'll be honest with you, collectible card games are kind of like gambling, right? There's a real feeling when you open that pack. You know you're getting one rare, so you at least know the percentages. But which rare is it? Is it the uber powerful one? Is it one you're trying to find? There's a real.
Is this coming from an ex-Magic player?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's coming from a recovering Magic player for sure. And it was great back then, but I think now that I'm older and I see how my own daughter reacts to this. I see how I ban YouTube in this house for her because those videos are just kids, well, not even kids, mostly adults, opening boxes for her to get addicted to that rush and be like, oh my God, it's this, oh my God, it's that. And I'm just like, that's not, A, that's crappy content. Screw you guys. And B, that's insidious. I think it really is insidious to do that to our kids. And, think of the children. And my wife was making fun of me earlier because she's like, you sound just like Tipper Gore. But it's not it's not like banning curse words or banning like murder and violence in video games or talking about that stuff, which is content. That's creative content, and we shouldn't stifle that. This is about tapping into psychology and the tools of psychology in an immersive thing like games. Games are already like built to heighten our senses and get us focused on it, and then they are gonna slap a gambling mechanic on it that's gonna really impact. I mean, there's people out there with real gambling illnesses,
right,
that can't resist this, and you're gonna slap it in games and go after them and put it on their phone. I mean, these things are on phones for you to play, and these games
right. Well, I mean, every free-to-play game model has the whole like roulette kind of scenario.
Can literally
where you can
never get away from the gambling mechanic. Imagine like that. Imagine being a recovering gambler, and it's everywhere. It's literally every entertainment system you have. So I think it's important that we're at the stage now where we can take a step back and look at: is this game content, or is this just really addiction content that we've created?
Yeah. So I'm gonna just not shift a little bit, but I want to touch on something that you mentioned there so this is interesting as our kids grow up, where we're trying to shield them from maybe some of the things that we went through, but also missing out on some of the things. So like here we are in an age where we're consuming media at a different rate. So my kids, so let's go back to us as children.
Sure.
Us as children didn't have the internet like we have it now, or didn't have it at all. And so there was no YouTube where we can watch someone open up their newest, grab bags grab bags always existed. You'd go to a bazaar, you'd go to a fair, whatever, you get a grab bag. You're like, yeah, this is awesome. It's got some fun stuff in it. I mean, I'm a Loot Crate subscriber. I once a month get my Loot Crate, and I don't know what's in it without me going online. And then there's videos of people opening it on camera to show you, hey, look what I got in my Loot Crate, which is all sorts of interesting because you're living vicariously through this video. You're getting the same rush. So that's how unboxing videos and all of that are. But all that aside, I guess my point to all of this is we live in an age where that is a method of like sharing your experience, but you're also like, you're a pusher. You've become like a virtual pusher.
Oh yeah.
But as a kid, without the internet, I remember going to my comic shop, going to my game shop, going to my local whatever, and buying baseball cards, buying comic book collectible cards, buying all of that, and Magic the Gathering cards, Pokemon cards.
Yep.
And you're hoping to get that rare. And I mean, I know it's bad when we look at it in the sense of like the amount of stuff that we have now. Like everything is everything has got a gambling mechanic to it now. Yeah, but I don't want to ruin that for kids as well. Like it sucks. Like I'm playing both sides of the sword.
I know. I think we need. Think of the children, right? I get it. I just think we need to like take a step back. And
like I don't want to deny my kid Pokemon, right? Like if the Pokemon card game, I want them to buy packs and feel that rush of opening and finding that rare and go, you got that rare, good job. They didn't really do anything, but they just luck of the draw, they got that awesome rare and it's theirs. That's the feeling we got when we were kids. But now
I feel like maybe it's a bad feeling that we should not have had as kids, right? Like I don't know for sure, and I'd like someone to dig into it and figure it out, because I do think that like certain people, and I can speak personally here. I do suffer. I indulge too much in chasing that feeling. Magic the Gathering was definitely. I would blow all my money on it, right? Like I would work.
So did I.
I'd go straight from cashing my check to the Magic the crack dealer, and I just buy all the cards, and I'd open them up. Like it just wasn't. It wasn't anything but I enjoyed the game, but really it was about buying packs. It was a pack purchasing delivery mechanism, and I just know now that my brain is wired that way with these types of games that I can't resist.
So you as an individual know that was something that you saw it yourself. I mean, obviously it's a bad thing. I think the problem comes with this mechanic isn't that's bad. I agree that it is, but
when our kids could get the same dopamine rush from opening a Star Wars toy, man, or a She-Ra toy, like there's
but they know they know what.
I'll wrap it for them, and it's even more.
it's the surprise that they're getting. That's cool, and I get it. I don't want to take that away from my kid,
I don't.
I think that because the amount of media, and I'm going back to the media aspect of this, is because back then, when I was a kid, we had no internet. If I went to the store and I opened up my pack of Magic cards, or I went in and opened up my pack of like Marvel Masterpiece cards,
Sure.
and I was like, oh man, I got the Magneto variant, or
Thanos, yeah.
Thanos, yeah, I got this, and I'm gonna put it in my like slip cover, and I got it, and it's in my collectible card kit. I take it to school and go, hey man, check it out, and my other friend would have them, and they were called collectible trading card games.
Yeah, we trade them, we'd interact with them.
We traded them.
Yeah.
So that was the difference, is there was no mass YouTube channel of people just ripping them all open and getting that. It was the fact that I took my $5, bought my 4 packs, opened them. That's all the money I had. But then I trade. So there was a second aspect to it. I think with YouTube and channels like these unboxings and all that, all they've done is distilled the opening aspect and mass marketed to the point that that's all we got. So when you go to a store like Five Below,
these toys that they're opening, Joe, that's all they have. There's no value to those toys.
So
I mean, I bought them for my kids, and she opens them,
and then done.
And she's done. It's a crappy little. She's only getting that experience to open it. If Pokemon is still around in 20 years, of course it will be.
Yeah.
And she wants to get into it, of course I'll let her play it, right? But, 20 years, she's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like she'll play it, she'll enjoy it, and that'll be a different sort of rush because then she'll know what the card means, huh?
In 5 years.
In 5 years. Oh my God, yeah, 5. Holy shit. So yeah. I better start saving money now. I know my beard just turned another shade of gray. So in 5 years, if she's into it, I totally would be down with it, and we can play the game together, and we can.
It's all regulation, man. I think it's regulation on your aspect, and you're not giving them that access to that like funnel, that YouTube funnel of like. Dude. Ripping open 15 packs, like that's too much.
And it like dances across the screen.
Right. Look, my kiddos, they love the little grab bag toys, and I let them play. They do play with them a lot more than I thought. They enjoy that aspect, but I make sure that they get something of they don't just buy random like Shopkins, random thing that they don't like. Like I go, so an example is Five Below has a big rack of them, right? Like they've got a whole section of like all these like grab bag toys or whatever.
The slot machine row when you walk into the casino. Yeah,
right. So they walk up and there's like Ninja Turtle and like Marvel and like Mario and Zelda and all that fun stuff. And even I get excited. I'm like, oh man, these look pretty cool. Steven Universe and all that. So I go, you pick 2. You're allowed 2. So they walk up and they're like, so half of the fun for them is just making that decision of which are the 2 that they want.
Yep.
Then they grab 2, and then as they're leaving, I don't let them open it until they get out of the store. That way they can't go, hey, I don't like what I got. I want one back. No, that's not the way it works. Next time you can get another one if you want it. If they lose interest, they forget about it. But they do remember that those are there. So sometimes when we go back, they want one of the different ones. Yeah. I think that's as much as I can regulate this concept. These type of toys weren't around when we were kids. The closest we had was the stick a quarter in, turn the crank, you get the little surprise ball.
Yeah, that's probably the closest we can get nowadays. And I feel like there was shades of it, right? There was like different variants. You could rub their bellies.
The Japanese have been dealing with this for years. Those collectible like pop, they've got like space capsule, the capsule toys, have been around for years. In Japan, there's like collectors of specific series, like Tomy.
We've got some collectors here of those little goofy things.
Yeah, and they're great. They're no different than half the stuff that tchotchkes that I've got on my shelf. It's just in Japan, it's been an aspect. And Japan has a big gambling problem altogether, too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Japan has got pachinko.
And we've got a big gambling problem here.
We do. Well. But in Japan, and for those, again, I'm only going to mention it a little bit, is in Japan, if you're not familiar, Japan there's no gambling in Japan. So if you're not familiar how it works in Japan for gambling, they've got a gambling game called pachinko. And you've probably seen it if you've ever watched, The Price is Right. They've got like a pachinko machine on there. And it's these little silver balls that they drop at the top, and they bounce around and they try to land in specific spots, and then that gives you like extra points or whatever. And you collect these. So here's the way it works. I'll give you a quick concept. As they collect those balls, the weight of those balls as they collect them become like a currency. They then go and take those and cash them in for a ticket. Okay, so this is how they get around the gambling rule. The ticket then gives them, it's almost like going to a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. They get a little ticket. That ticket then they leave the pachinko store, go around the corner, and they go to a vendor. And the vendor then takes those tickets. They go, oh, we take tickets. They then look on the shelf and they say, here is a gamepad. This gamepad right here, and it's a cheap little plastic gamepad, a specific gamepad made for that store. Or just as an example, that cost 3 tickets. So those 3 tickets, you then cash it in for those. Then you take this gamepad and you go to another store, and that store goes, hey, we buy those gamepads. We give you $50 for those. So then they go, here.
That just sounds like gambling with extra steps.
It is. That's how they get around the gambling rule in Japan. But there's a big gambling problem. They've got little old men and ladies and people in their.
There's also a lot of tourism. They'll go to where gambling.
They'll sit there in big pachinko halls. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar, pachinko is so big that, see this plane right here? That's an X-Men game by Konami, makers of Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, etc. They have left the video game making company. They don't make new games. The reason they stopped making them is because they would invest $200 million in a video game, and they could barely make their money back if it wasn't very good. What they'll then do is they now make pachinko machines based on their own properties, and they have quadrupled their profit margin in the year that they moved away from video games.
So people go into these, it's like an arcade, except it's an arcade that gives tickets that then give items, and then they can trade those items for cash. I get it.
Yep. So it just goes to show.
You think we can get away with that here, or they'll catch on pretty fast? I feel like
I don't know how familiar you are with it in New York where you're at, but here in the South they have those. If you go into gas stations, there's a lot of gas stations in or game rooms, as they call them.
I gotcha.
It's illegal gambling without any real money being transferred. They do the same thing. You'll see rows of slot machines, same ones that they've got in Vegas. Video poker, video
entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes is what they say. And they play and they give you like tickets, and then somewhere along the line there's a transaction that happens. I haven't done it, but we're talking gas stations. Like you go pump gas and you walk in, but they're not getting money. But you see these old men sitting there all day.
Yep.
So,
it's there. It's bad. I think we should have a discussion in the ways we entertain ourselves, whether or not loot boxes are the way to go. I don't mind paying for content. I mean, I've paid for a lot of content.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind random drops. I understand that it's part of the grind to keep games fresh. It's when you're buying things and it's not clear. I think the guidelines from IDGA are good, like help parents create tools to prevent their kids from buying them or using them, and then also really explaining to players what are the odds, what are the chances you're going to get what you're looking for. If you're paying money for it, you should know what your chances are of actually getting an item. I mean, some of these loot boxes are like 0.1% for the rare. That's
right. The random number generator that's running this background or whatever, they've got some of these skins. And again, I'm using Overwatch as the example because it's pretty much the only one that I can think of that's doing it. And a lot of these legendary skins, you'll get I'll tell you, in like the $40 that I've dumped on it, I've maybe gotten 2 legendaries out of those $40, and the rest of them are commons. And if you get a double, the double just cashes out automatically into coins.
Yep. Yeah. That's I can see that.
So
yeah, we're going to be talking about loot boxes more and more, I think. Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. I think folks are going to talk about it a lot because they're going to want to fix it before the government gets involved. And the video game industry has been really good about regulating themselves before the government starts touching their stuff. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. It feels like a simple fix. Just get rid of them and charge direct money for content.
Yeah, just do like Fortnite is doing, sadly. Just do the transfer. Show me, time limited. Once a day, drop a skin, drop 2 skins, let people buy it within the 24-hour period, and then
subscription service for discounts, whatever. It shouldn't be hard.
It'll still continue making them money.
Yep. If your game's good enough.
So last topic I want to touch on, because we haven't touched upon it very often, and I really want to touch upon it at least for another 10 minutes real quick, is our tabletop. We haven't been able to talk about it, and I'm going to give the excuse on my end that we have, with the holidays and with everything, we have missed many gaming sessions up until these past 2 weeks. These past 2 weeks, we finally had 2 game sessions.
Oh, good for you. I think I just started a new job, so things have been moving around a little bit, so I'm trying to stabilize.
Right. We
just missed last week. I think we're going to play this week. We'll figure it out. But, yeah, we just missed a few sessions.
So tell me a little bit of what's going on in your campaign, and let's kind of catch people up on this.
I don't have much of an update, to be honest with you. I think we finished up the Halloween arc. So they finished exploring the town that I put in front of them. They went down into the catacombs that I put out in a dungeon, Dwarven Forge setup, and they defeated a big monster that was being summoned at the end. What I really like doing with the players, and you know this, is I'll listen to their table talk of what they think is happening, and then that's what's happening, right? I don't really have I have a sort of outline, but I'm very happy to change it because that feeling of discovery, that look on a player's face, when they're like, wait, I was right? Like, I love that. And then, yeah, you were right because you said it at the table and I heard you, and that's
right.
So there's a few things that are like up in the air. But one thing I did, and I gave one of my players, her wizard, a book. And this book has a personality and a sort of aggressive personality that has offered her, over the course of like 5 sessions, powers and access to information that she needs. And slowly she's been resisting and resisting and resisting, and I finally got her to accept it in a moment of need. You know, I hit her with some, I don't know if you're familiar, but they're shadows, right? They're wizard killers, these shadows. They do damage directly to the strength stat.
Right.
So that's usually the dump stat for wizards. So if you do damage to strength, if you hit it fast enough, you can get her down. So I got her down to 1 strength, and the shadows were still in play. And
once they drop to 0 strength, they literally crumble, right? They have
well, they die. It's just like if I had taken all their hit points, right? So, and it requires a different sort of heal metric to get your strength up. You have to be stabilized, whatever. It's a lot harder to recover from strength loss than anything else. But it's still a game, right? You can still recover for it. But she panicked or finally took the offer. I was like, oh, I can help you with the book. The book offered help, and she took it. And then she failed her will save, and so now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with this evil entity that's been pushing for her to agree to it. So it's a relic. I've given it a personality. It's got its own agenda, and now she's going to be sort of. I want to watch her sort of role play that agenda as the other players try to figure out what's going on. So that's another philosophy I have on the table. Right, everyone at the table knows she's been struggling with this book. Players, but the characters don't, right? The characters don't know, and they've been trying to get rolls and trying to do insight rolls and trying to do perception rolls to see her talking to the book and things like that to figure out what's going on. And it's a lot of fun watching them struggle and get upset that she's done such a good job of hiding it.
So let's talk about something real quick, because your session is you've got some players that have been playing this game longer than my guys are all new in a way, and I want to get some clarity just because I know that they listen to all this and from one to another. Let's put some scenarios down real quick, just to
lightning round.
Roles. You walk into a camp, okay? Or how about this? We've got a camp. They're all half sleeping. Some of them are
player camp.
Players
camping. All right.
Players are camping. Half of them are asleep. Some of them are on watch, and that's what happened this past session for me. And they hear a noise.
Okay.
As a player. As an experienced player that you would be, what would be the first thing that you would roll?
Perception. I would say to the DM, "Oh, I want to look for what's going on."
Okay.
And then the DM should say, "Okay, that's perception. Roll it." Right.
So they roll a perception, and you, as a DM, would set a specific DC, a difficulty.
Usually the stealth, if something's sneaking up on them, or something like that. But yeah.
So they roll higher than a 12, just for a basic DC. And at that point, they see what it is, you know,
sure.
a ghoul is walking up on them or whatever. At that point, let's say they don't know what a ghoul is. They've never interacted with a ghoul. Okay. So it's shambling up to them. Their ghouls are a little faster than zombies, so they can run.
A little bit more intelligent too.
So they've learned that very quickly in this passage. Ghouls are not zombies. So let's say they want to find out what this is. Next to roll, insight or nature?
So, I don't know if you remember, but at my table, players don't tell me what skill they're rolling. I tell them what skill to roll, right? And it's usually based on what they are describing to me. So, depending on the player, would say something to the effect of like, "Oh, is it walking weird? Is it an animal? Is it like a creature that I know?" Then that would be a nature check.
Right. So that's an example I want to talk about, just because that's a good question, and I want to just kind of explore that because I want my players to apply that.
Sure.
So an example here is it something I know? Now, obviously, this is something that they might not know because they've never encountered them in my game. But as adventurers of past lore,
that's why we roll the dice.
So again, what would you say on a roll there? Would it be like a roll of d6, maybe a d4? What would you do? A percentage?
No, I do a nature check or a arcana check or a religion check, depending on what kind of monster it is. And then
so let's say they pass it. They roll they see a ghoul. Let's say this is my my fighter. My fighter is on watch. He sees it. She sees it. She wants to roll. She rolls. Let's say her insight is pretty high. She rolls an insight. You know.
I want to make clear: insight is not perception for creatures. Don't use insight to identify creatures.
Okay.
My table. It's insights for figuring out if like something's lying to you. Maybe trying to figure out if there's motivation. Insight's more your gut feeling as opposed to your brain feeling.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
No, that's good. That's good. Excellent. Okay, so a nature check would be one that you'd probably roll?
Nature, I'd say nature. I think there's history, right? You can also use a history check. Maybe they read about it, right? So
investigation as well?
No, investigation is putting together clues. So if they spot this shambling monster in perception and maybe it has a smell and they're in a graveyard and someone's like, well, I want to put these clues together, that would be an investigation roll. And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, see if you can put this together to figure out it's a ghoul. That's why investigation is my last choice.
I'm going to not spoil for my listeners that might be in my session. They are coming up close to some ruins.
Oh, there you go. All right.
So,
that's a clue.
So it's a clue. So they have run into some ghouls. They are outside of these ruins still. They haven't gone into there. So I'm trying to give them the context clues of like the smell. There's a fog. They have killed the ghoul, and the ghoul has a seal on them. Like the ghoul has a marking of something that, you know,
cursed creature
or something that maybe animated them or whatever. We don't know yet. But
I love it.
So again, if I want them to know that it's a ghoul, or they would roll maybe a nature or something like that. And at that point, that would then say, how would you role play that as the DM said, yes, you have seen this before?
So it depends on how comfortable you are with your players.
Right.
I tend to be open at the table. You know this, right? So
right.
I would probably turn to that player and be like, it's a ghoul. Why does your character know about ghouls? To give them a moment to tell me why they know about ghouls. Because as players, they probably all know ghouls. Most players would have an idea what ghouls are.
Right.
But I don't know why their character would know. So that's my opportunity to explore their character and give them a chance to shine, right? Oh, well, you know, my fighter... depending on their role, right, they have to color it. Well, my fighter, before I went out adventuring, I was a sergeant on the front lines, and one of my jobs was to patrol the graveyard, and there was always ghouls there, right? So you can sort of tap into that. And then the nice thing about something like that is that next time they're in graveyards, your character has that history. They can tap into that knowledge and make future roles a little bit easier, right? So that's why I do that. It gives their characters the ability. But, you know, if it's a history check instead of a nature check, then it could be something like, oh, my wizard studied books about this exact description, and I happen to know that ghouls, and that might unlock like, oh yeah, be careful, ghouls paralyzed, right? That could be something that they read, right? So it depends on how they color it, and that's how I give them more information. So if they color it just right and they role play really well, I reward them with more mechanic and game information. Oh yeah, you read somewhere in a book that ghouls paralyzed, or when you were patrolling the graveyard, one of your privates that you were in charge of, you were shocked to see stuck in place, right? Like something like that. And then you can sort of go from there. So I like to leave the players in charge of that because then they can build their characters in really cool ways. Okay. They'll abuse it though, so you got to be careful, right?
Yeah, right.
Make sure the DCs on demons and like higher level monsters should be very high, because all these low levels shouldn't know about them, right?
They should have never run into like a demon, because if so, they would have already be dead.
And if they read history text about it, then they've read very forbidden text, and you should use that against them later. Right? That's right. Character reading about demons. Let's explore
this. No. So one last thing, real quick.
Sure.
Just because we're playing lightning round here with DM.
Sure.
Because again, you've got more experience in it than I do. Let's throw something out here real quick. What is a good mob that you want to throw at new individuals? Like you've got a small
good
group.
nuke for them to beat up on, or a good
Like what's a good fun monster that you like throwing out? Like what's your flavor of choice as of late?
I really like playing around with goblins and hobgoblins. To tell you the truth, very low. Goblins are fun because they're very low level, and you can sort of make them comic relief. So they're good fun for comic relief monsters. Hobgoblins I really like because players are not used to. Hobgoblins are fun because they're in the lore of Forgotten Realms. They're like really tactical creatures. They're not just rushing and berserking orcs. They fight together. They run in military groups together. They have cores of hobgoblins. So I like running hobgoblins just because they allow me to really take advantage of the game mechanically. And I don't want to say punish my players, but really show them how a team that knows each other's skills operates to murder, right? Like you could really turn a group of hobgoblins into murder hobos if you tweak their skills a little bit. Because they get
which one of your fun bonuses, fun tweaks that you like to do?
So hobgoblins, when they fight the same target, they get bonuses mechanically in the game. But I like to give them sniper abilities. I like to give them ranger abilities, so that if they basically, I have to give them marks, so they'll mark their targets a lot better. And then when you have a sniper marking and you have a fighter coming on them, the fighter gets advantage as well. So there's a lot of like little things I like to give hobgoblins, very small tweaks to their skills to specialize them, and then the player sort of gets surprised by these like specialized monsters coming at them.
Do you leave their HP pretty low still?
Oh yeah, because I don't want to murder the players. I just want them to see what tactics monsters can use against you really effectively. Like I mean, like downing a wizard is really easy if no one's protecting them, right? And sometimes my players get a little cocky, and it only takes like 3 hobgoblins to down a wizard if they're all focus firing and spec properly for it.
Right.
So one of the things I say to you and all DMs in general, if there's any listening out there, the monster manual and the DM's guide tells you how to customize monsters. And one of the easiest things you can do to customize a monster is like a hobgoblin has a feat. Just take that feat out and put a feat in that you like from something else. And now you have a very different hobgoblin. Make a whole squad of different hobgoblins, and you can really show the players how things mesh. You don't even need a wizard. I mean, you give the hobgoblin the orc ability, suddenly it's a berserking hobgoblin. Now they're surprised by this, right? So that's one of the things I love about these low-level creatures you can play around with. It's also safe, right? If you play around with the high-level creatures, you might tweak it a little too much and murder them, right? You might have to ramp it down right in mid-play. Hobgoblins are real safe because they're just at the right power level that you can just add more numbers, and it's still a difficult and interesting encounter. So hobgoblins are my jam. Have you done anything like that? You gotta
yeah. Goblins. My group is very familiar with goblins, and I know goblins get what is it when there's more than one goblin? They've got there's a bonus action I think that they get, or
they get the hide action for bonus.
Yeah, they're able to disengage if I'm right. So
they're like little rogues.
Yeah, so they can come in, boom, 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 and then with their move action they can run away, and that they can put 30 feet back. So then they have to spend a move action to get close to them to engage. So,
and once you start putting goblins in their way, or nice thing is to put traps. The goblins know about the traps and they avoid them, and then the heroes chase them and fall into traps. I do this all the time.
My group last week encountered darkness for the first time.
The spell?
Yeah, they just had they triggered a darkness area, so it was an AOE area, and there was what are they called?
Oh, it's beautiful.
What's the vine? The murdering vine,
I'm sure they're called murdering vines.
Yeah, we fought one once. Sure. I think we fought it at PAX.
Are they like animated vines?
Yeah, it was like the murdering. They're called something like.
Oh, the man plant, the man-eating plant.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, we know.
But one of their skills is if there's other plant life in the area, they can animate that plant life as well. So this plant was attached to the side of a rock, but it was in a forest. So the entire ground became
and it's dark as well. That's awesome.
Dark, so they just didn't know what to do, and it got very very fun with them because
That's great.
you can't see. And of
But I
course,
don't get to play D&D every week. I get a little sad. I could tell that I haven't played this week because I'm now like, oh my god, I want to play. Why am I not playing this?
yeah,
Every week?
you forget how easy darkness can be. Especially with a group where they're so used to, they're like, oh, well, I've got dark vision, and all of them have dark vision, and so you're like, you can't see, and they're like, what do you mean you can't see?
Magical darkness.
Magical darkness, you can't see.
We attack it with light. That's the way to get rid of darkness. You have to cast your light spell. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, but none of them did.
Of course not, because they're used to seeing in the dark. Good. I like that. Well done. I've got half a team of dark vision, and the other half are always carrying torches, so it's kind of fun now.
Of course they are.
Yeah. Because I've got little light up torches, my little Dwarven Forge light up torches. I got to use them.
Oh man, see, I gotta get there, man. I gotta get there.
It's that luxurious premium Dungeons
Premium gaming. I've got to, I realize I've got the 3D printer and all that, but it's all about the specialized stuff, and I really got to plan ahead on it. I've got a couple of set pieces I'm going to print out for this week, and I'll take some pictures and put them up.
Yeah, do it. I owe a bunch of pictures. I got to put them up as well. I just been managing some life things. And once they settle down,
if you're familiar, for anyone who's listening that isn't in my campaign, if they're on my campaign, they're not going to look it up anyway because I told them not to. But we are at Old Owl Well.
Oh, nice. Did you add some stuff to it, or are you just keeping it basic count?
Little here and there, but I mean, if you remember our encounter at Old Owl Well and who they met there, knowing that there are ghouls in the area,
that's good fun.
Kind of give you a little bit.
I love it. You're ramping it up a little bit. I love it.
Up just a little bit. But yeah, that's D&D. It's our campaigns at the moment. If you guys are playing, please post. I know I've got a couple of individuals that play. Our friends at Haunted Mountain, they play. I want to hear from them in the comments. Zero and Katie, I know that they're playing their games, and please share. I like the feeding of the game gives me ideas for us. As players.
Share pictures of your socks. Joe now is doing that pretty much every other day. His socks that he wears. So I'd love to see your socks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was funny that I'm used to wearing like the geek shirts all the time, but now that I'm like buttoned down, like
you got to still represent.
I'm like I got to represent somehow, and I've been picking up geek socks as my.
So show us how you represent your nerddom wherever you go. Right, I've got my D20 bag. That's what I do right now.
Yeah.
I'm repping my PAX East shirt from way back when in 2013.
That's a 13 shirt. Yeah.
Before we sign off, I want to say thanks again to Heretofore. They do our intro music now.
Absolutely.
The more I hear it, the more I love it. Their music is great. Check them out. Syracuse-based band. Also, thanks to Adam. You're our #1 listener. You're always sending me some sort of mean comment or loving comment via text.
Absolutely.
Or posting something up. And also, Adam does a lot of work behind the scenes. He's almost going to earn that producer credit. I don't know. We got to talk to our.
I work out to our accountant and see what's going on.
He's busting his butt for us and helping us do this. So thank you very much to Adam for listening to the end of this podcast, which we said we try to keep it, and we blew out every other one we've done so far. So. We need someone to talk in our ear.
No, I know. You know what? It gives everybody who's listening maybe a double session. You know, they can listen on the way to work and on the way back. They're not done.
And then the next day, depending on your
So
we are on podcast, everybody. So look us up, Mid-Geek Crisis on podcast. It's a lot easier to listen to us on.
It is, but that doesn't mean I don't want you to subscribe on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, everybody. I need those subscriptions. As soon as I get to 100, I'll stop bothering.
We're gonna get it. We're so close, right? We're like at 55 or 56.
We're a little even higher.
Last time I looked, we were around there. So just a few more. Share us, subscribe us,
guys. Do me a big favor. If you've got friends, like your friends, you've got other geeky friends that aren't friends with us. Go onto Facebook. You'll see an invite button there. Click on that invite, and it'll show your friends list. Invite anybody who you might, might be interested in this kind of topic.
I should do that. I haven't done that on my.
So go through and blast those invites. It sends them one message, and it says, "Hey, you might be interested." And if they don't, they don't. But that gives us an outer circle of friends, and that'll allow us to expand. We've got a couple of new listeners that we met through Instagram from other things that are following that I realize aren't following any of us. So we now have a couple of friends that aren't friends with any of us. That's fantastic.
That's great. And we want to hear from you. Post, talk, chat. That's
yes, please.
I love giving shout outs. Again, like I don't want to thank Adam one more time, but he's the one who started the loot box conversation with me. And then I started digging into it and realized how crazy it all is. So thanks again to everybody who's listening, who's listened this far.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, just a quick preview for next week. We're going to be talking about gifts. The Christmas time is coming. I'm going to come up with a nice, fun.
I'll be ready for next week.
top 10, quick geek gifts for our loved ones.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Challenge accepted.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, folks.
We're signing out. Have a good one. Enjoy the week. Bye.
Thanks.
Mid-Geek Crisis.